world GDP of all of the Muslim majority countries combined, 57 plus, is less than 10%, while the US alone, it's over 25%. Now, think about that for a second. But that's not the only problem. The other problem is that as Muslims, we are highly dependent. Let's look at some of the industries. Let's look at the data industry. We don't own any of our data. Think about social media. We don't own any of the major world social medias, but we are all on them. Think about cell phones. We don't own any cell phone. Think about business data. We don't own any major business software. And you can keep thinking. You're going to get to a conclusion that it is very easy for non-Muslims to own your data while you don't have access to them. Second, media. We complain about others lying about us. We complain about Islamophobia. We complain about this. We complain about that. The reality is that we are relying on non-Muslim media to get all of the information, to get basically what we call reliable information. And then when we get lied, we get upset. Well, don't get upset because you don't have your own media. You must build your own media. Let's take another industry. Let's take, for example, the industry of transportation. If you wanted to ship something from Saudi Arabia to US, what are you going to use? You're going to use something like FedEx or DHL and so forth. Where are the Muslim companies? Now, I don't have a problem with non-Muslims building these companies. As a matter of fact, kudos to them. But as a civilization, as an ummah, we must have our own solutions and we must be able to fulfill our own needs rather than be dependent on others. So how do we do this? We must rebuild the Muslim economy from scratch. So here are 4 steps and a framework to achieve that. Number 1 is that we need to be able to change the mindset from an employee to an owner. We need Muslims to think about the hadith of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, where he said the upper hand is better than the lower hand. What does that mean? That means that the owner has the upper hand. He gives you the money, Habibi. And you as an employee have the lower hand. I am not against employment. We need employees, but we need more founders. We need founders who are going to build. So now we need to teach our children not how to become an engineer, but how to open an engineering company. Not how to become a doctor, but how to open a hospital and so forth. That should be the mindset. So we need a mindset shift. What is the second step? The second step is that we need to teach discipline and righteousness. It is not sufficient for a Muslim founder to just start a business or to become a founder. We need this Muslim founder to be a disciplined founder. We need this Muslim founder to have deep knowledge of Islam. We need this Muslim founder to have strong character, because as a Muslim founder, you are also fulfilling the message of Islam. You should be a representative of Islam. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ came to perfect the manners, and you need to portray these manners and you need to portray that character in all of your business dealings. Therefore, it is important that the Muslim founder is not somebody who is lazy, is not somebody who doesn't seek excellence, is not somebody who doesn't know their deen. It is important that we build the Muslim founders accordingly. Otherwise, we are going to build these businesses that do not have anything resemblance of Islam. Third, we must build businesses. Once we build the founders and when we have changed the mindset, we must build businesses, because the businesses are the structures in the society that provide value. They provide services, they provide goods, they provide solutions. And without those goods and without those solutions and without those benefits, there is nothing in the society that functions. Therefore, the economy is dependent on businesses. And we as Muslims must lead in every single sector. So we need to start from beginning to the end of all industries and provide solutions. Because we have 57 countries, they span across the world in every area of the world almost. That means that we need to be able to provide solutions for all of the industries, because we need all. What is the fourth point? The fourth point is we need continuity. What we need is we need to teach early on these business founders, these founders, that their business is not something that they just make money. It's an amana from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they need to be able to inherit it to the next generation. That means that they're going to need to think and make decisions for the long term, because we cannot reset and start again. The father has a beautiful business. Now the son becomes a doctor. Well, guess what? We need to make sure that we are not reinventing the wheel, that should be some continuity. There should be transfer of knowledge, there should be transfer of wealth, there should be transfer of character, there should be transfer of relationships, so that we are not restarting every generation, but we are building upon them. And then we build strong culture where we basically are not dependent anymore, but we're really building for the next generation. Because Prophet Muhammad, he said, it is better to leave your inheritance, basically your heirs, wealthy than poor and dependent on others. Therefore, we cannot leave our dependents poor if we have the opportunity to leave them wealthy.